There is something universal about dance, and that's where it starts to get really fun for me. A very sexy YA relationship matched with the incredible world of ballroom dancing. In storytelling, when there are emotions that we can't say with words, we sing, right? That's why there's musicals. When there's things we can't say with emotions that we can't even say with song, we dance. You hear a beat, you feel something. You watch people dance to that beat in a certain way, whether it's sexy, whether it's sweet, whether it's cute, whether it's romantic, you know exactly what they are translating. If we're going to make a dance movie, we're going to have to do a bunch of TikToks while we're on set. That's what I'm going to say. I'm ready.
Welcome back to Daily Ovation. I'm Joe Winger. This week, as you know, we're celebrating the American film market. That's AFM 2025 happening in Century City, Los Angeles in November. We're talking with filmmakers, we're talking with directors, we're talking with financiers and investors to learn more about behind the scenes as to why film production is a more prudent investment than what they'd like us to believe. And so today we're talking with someone who's bringing really hot buzz this week to the AFM, Christine Lakin, director. Thank you for joining us today.
Yes, thanks for having me, Joe.
I'm really excited to talk with you because you're one of the biggest names happening this week, and I want to hear all about how you've built this huge buzz going on. What are the things you're most known for? When you walk through an airport and the public says hi to you, what are the one, two, three things they most likely know you from?
Well, I think there's a lot of people that feel like they know me, and it's probably because they grew up with me. I graced a lot of people's televisions on Friday nights in the 90s on a TV show called Step by Step. I was 12 years old when I started that show, and I played Patrick Duffy's daughter, Al Lambert, on it. And the 90s were obviously a very different time. We grew up in analog. So I think for some people, those memories are still really stick with them. And it has been an enduring, I guess, legacy being in the TGIF cinematic universe. And one that I'm very proud of. I'm very happy that there are still fans that still care about that show, that rewatch the show, that want to talk about it. And so I think that's first and foremost how people know me sort of as an actor. And then I've been a choreographer for over 10 years. It was kind of my side hustle I fell into in my mid-20s when I went back to theater, which is always my first love. They say if you're struggling, you go to church. And as an artist, I feel like in my mid-20s, that's where I was. And so I did. And our church is theater. And so I did that for a long time. And then it was sort of in my early 30s. I was pitching, I was writing, I was selling little shows here and there and making short films. And it just kind of all came to a big epiphany that what I really wanted to focus on was directing. And so that's when I really set my sights on doing that. And in the last 10 years, I've been mostly directing television and short films and going to film festivals and racking up a few awards. And it was really kind of the confluence of all these things that has led me to this brilliant project, which I feel like I am very uniquely attuned to direct. So I'm thrilled to finally be here directing I Won't Dance.
What a concise evolution, if you will, from years ago to present moment. And we're going to get very deep into your new movie in a second. Um, from an actor's point of view, from a TV episodic director point of view, what lessons have you learned over those years doing those very high profile, high level things that help you as you're moving into being a feature director?
I mean, great question. Television is a very fast-paced medium. Um, you don't get extra days on the back end to finish your episode. You are given a certain amount of pages and a certain amount of time to do it, and that is that. And when you run into issues, you have to pivot very quickly. So it is, you don't have like, well, we can put that in our second or third week. We can bump that to that day. It is 5 days, sometimes four and a half. And that is that. So I think, that being my training ground, I learned very quickly how to manage time, how to be overly prepared, how to be a team player, how to collaborate, and I think most importantly, you really need to know how to improvise. And my background as an actor has been very useful in that yes and mentality of okay, not this, what next? So I think as from a director's eye, that's all been very helpful for me in terms of like a training ground as a director. And then as a choreographer, everything for me looks like movement and music. I'm always thinking about the way actors move and what seems normal and natural and interesting. And so it's not just about getting the shots, but it's about trying to, I think, infuse some kind of musicality within the movement.
And because most of the conversation from this point on is going to be all about this brand new movie or this project that's developing, to give an audience context, can you give us a bit of a pitch about the story, the characters, what it's all about?
So I Won't Dance is a YA coming of age rom-com sports movie. And our logline is the belle of the ball must partner with her nemesis, who is the bad boy of the ballroom, for a chance to win the National Teen Dance Championship title. And not killing each other would be a win. So we are looking at a movie that is very much in the zeitgeist of, if you remember Strictly Ballroom, which I do, it is one of my favorite movies growing up, and The Cutting Edge, which was my other favorite movie growing up. And you kind of marry the two of those, you get this beautiful love-hate, will they or won't they, very sexy YA relationship matched with the incredible world of ballroom dancing, which we have known from the ubiquitous show. Dancing with the Stars is something that people love to watch. It is so exciting, it is enticing, and yes, it is a sport.
If an audience already loves Dancing with the Stars, what's the likelihood that they're going to also love this project?
Oh, I think this is definitely in their queue. This is already in their queue. This is already coming up on their Apple phone. This is their phone is listening, and these are not the people that we need to ask to come to the theater. They're already in line. What I think people who maybe even aren't big dance fans will love about this movie is that it is also about family. It's about relationships. It's about legacy. It's about what it means to be a young person, to have what feels like the weight of the world on your shoulders, and trying to figure out how you want to show up in the world is sometimes, I think, the biggest lesson in all of that is learning how to be yourself and learning what's important to you. And as a young person striving to find those things out, I think that is really at the heart of what this movie is.
That is a beautiful message. And I think in a time with culture, with social media, with entertainment the way it is, where we're either being pushed to see our worst selves
Mm.
or reminded and hopefully encouraged to also be our best selves, it sounds like this movie or project is pushing us more towards our best selves.
Yes. And it's really about these two young people. We have Elena and we have Xavier. And Elena really is like wrong side of the tracks, doesn't have any pedigree in ballroom dance, raised by a single mother. Her mom just wants her to get through high school and get to college and do things which she feels is the right path. And when you're an artist, when you're someone who, like dance runs in your blood, or you've just got to make that movie and your family doesn't understand you, it crushes your soul. And ballroom dance is a little bit of a bougie sport. So the costumes, the training, the entry fees, the coaches, I mean, to get in on that is a path that she is navigating by herself. And then you have on the other side, we have Xavier, who comes from this lineage, this line of family that is what they do, that is what they did. And so he's sort of like royalty in that world. And like to pit the two of them together, one of privilege and one of not, and have them, come together to sort of see eye to eye. And of course, fall in love, spoiler alert, I think is what really makes this compelling from both sides.
I love that. I'm going to take a moment because you used the word bougie. Our audience at Daily Ovation is lifestyle enthusiasts. These are fine wine. They collect wine. They probably have a very deep cellar. They're into Michelin restaurants and fine dining. And the reason we're covering AFM this week and why we're having this conversation, among other things, is I want our audience to understand the value that is most independent films, in my opinion. It really is about responsible production. It's about tight budgets, production value, and making the best what you have with the budget you have because we want to have a return on our investment for our investors.
Of
So
course.
now, before we jump forward, at some point, because we're about to get deeper into the production aspects, the investor and the finance aspects. So while we don't have to have her jump on quite yet, one of your producing partners, Alexandra Engelson, is going to join us. And so when you do see a new face pop up on the screen, that's Alexandra. So we're just kind of introducing her in advance. My understanding, and I could be wrong, is the Canary Islands, is that the entire location for the project or the main location, or how does the Canary Islands come up? And can we mention that I'm assuming there's incentives involved there that which may or may not have played a role in this conversation?
Yes, so we have a partner. We have a one initial partner called Hula Hoop. They are based in the Canary Islands, which is off the coast of Spain. Beautiful. I've never been. I look forward to going. And we will be using the Canary Islands for our all of our locations for I Won't Dance. The film is based in a small town in, I believe we're going to say southeastern the United States, but we
Okay.
will be filming in the Canary Islands. And they have, you know, when we partnered with them and we were taking a look at everything and I was looking at location photos and going through all my research, I mean, they're just so beautiful. There's so many locations there that work for our benefit. And we had long, extensive discussions about where we could make this and what realistically it looks like. And you know, there is a moment where the team goes to Las Vegas for a big competition, but they've got a gorgeous big casino and hotel there. So you know, as a director, you get very creative. I've shot all over in places, and I mean that's the magic of television. That's the magic of movies. So we're very excited to partner with them and you know start to get this ball rolling.
When we talk about the ball rolling, first from a pre-production point of view, what's it like? You haven't been there. I'm assuming you've scoured lots of production photos and you're already brainstorming about what locations could be and what's going to look like Vegas, etc. For you in your process, what level of comfort do you have looking at photos and saying, yeah, that's going to work, that's going to work? Or does it all come down to when you get there and you actually put your feet on the island and see what happens?
I think from an overview, you have to make that distinction. Look, if this was a movie that was set in a desert and you were asking me if this beautiful tropical island was going to work, I would probably say this is going to be tough. I don't think so. But there are so many things about this that I know are going to work and work beautifully. And again, we're going to use the locations to our advantage. So if you have a gorgeous beach, write the gorgeous beach in your script. Make it a coastal town so you can do that. So we had, you know, again, extensive conversations with Allison Johnson, who is our writer, and what her feelings were on that. And I think we were all on board. But I mean, until I set foot on land and until I go and look, I can't plan anything. I can't plan a shot in my head for something I haven't actually seen or felt or looked at from all angles. So that's my work when I get there, and there will be location scouts, you know, ahead of time so that we know exactly what we're using. And that's where it starts to get really fun for me. That's where it really starts. All the things that have been in my head now for quite a while start to really come to life. And you know, and I'm really used to that. And quite frankly, I'm used to doing it on a schedule where they're throwing me locations and saying, this is your location, you're shooting there in 5 days, versus this is your location, here's a bunch of locations, and you're going to be shooting in the course of, you know, 6 or 8 weeks from now. So it doesn't worry me at all. It's actually more time than I've ever had in my life to plan anything. So I mean, I've lost locations the day before a shoot and had to go find something. I mean, these are the things that happen. And you know what? We always make it work. It always works out in the end.
What's your message to the Canary Islands right now as far as excitement goes and anticipation? if they're watching this, what's your message to them as you getting ready to go visit?
I mean, I am personally so excited. I've never been there. I am just thrilled to partner with Hula Hoop. I'm thrilled to partner with the people of the Canary Islands. Um, and all of my friends are saying, "Oh my gosh, I saw your article and you're shooting there. Do you need an assistant? Do you need anyone for background? Would you have, I mean, everyone I know is trying to pack themselves in my suitcase already. So, it's already getting so much hype and so much excitement and enthusiasm. And I'm really looking forward to meeting the people there, and working with their crews and working with the crews of Spain. I just think it's going to be a really fantastic opportunity, and I can't wait to bring my family. So,
Oh, that's
yeah.
beautiful. So at AFM, as recently as I think yesterday, your announcement was how great this week is going, and you're talking about your active packaging and financing and where things are at right now. From a project point of view, what are the current biggest selling points that you're pitching to global buyers and people you are hoping to become partners with?
Alex, do you want to take this one?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So we have a few things that we are really pitching to buyers. As Christine said, this is such a universal story, and it's a universal genre. We want people to understand that dance is not just for the elite. It is for everyone. Every culture has their own dance. So universality is absolutely top of line for us. We have a fantastic director who has years of experience in our industry. And as she said, television, you have no time. And if you can do television, you can do a feature like that. The other things are it's a timeless story. It's going to prosper not just for our theatrical run, but for in 20 years when a streamer comes and says, we need material, it's absolutely going to be one of those ones that you want to rewatch over and over because it's comfortable and it feels like home. And we have relatable characters. You can see yourself on the screen in both Judy and Paulo, the parents of Elena and Xavier. And these are really the selling points that are elevating the material. And it's hugely accessible. We're taking that bouginess and we are moving it into a way that people who can't afford $2,000 for a dance dress can actually find it relatable and find ways to join the ballroom dance world.
That's very well said. That sounds a lot like maybe in the last couple of days you've had to say that thousands and thousands of times to buyers. I could be wrong, but that sounds very succinct. So congrats on that.
Thank
Okay,
you.
and I mean, I'll also just say, I've said this, I said this in my director's statement. I feel like in storytelling, when there are emotions that we can't say with words, we sing, right? That's why there's musicals. When there's things we can't say with emotions that we can't even say with song, we dance. There is something universal about dance that I think is cathartic. I think it's therapeutic. Whether you watch it, whether you are inspired by it, whether you're doing it yourself, there's something that is so universal about it because it's a language we can all understand without having any language barrier to it. You hear a beat, you feel something. You watch people dance to that beat in a certain way, whether it's sexy, whether it's sweet, whether it's cute, whether it's romantic, you know exactly what they are translating. And I think there is something that we really need right now in that. I think we all need a little joy, a little therapy, and I think we all got to move our bodies. So that's what I'm about. I love it.
So we're here today with Christine Lakin and Alexandra Engelson. The movie is called I Won't Dance. It's at AFM, the American Film Market this week, selling it. It's getting great headlines for how well it's selling. Where do you see this fitting into the 2026 global market?
So the global demand at the moment is for storytelling that is, as Christine said, movement driven. This film combines the physicality, the emotion, and the style. It's also female directed. And currently, there is a lot of statistics that state most films these days are not female directed. So it is a bigger splash and fits into the marketplace perfectly, especially for Gen Z. The amount of TikTok and Instagram videos that have populated because of Dancing with the Stars alone over the past 3 years, it has surged 15.3 million Dancing with the Stars viewers last season. And this week alone, they had over 60 million engaged voters. About 50% of them are Gen Z. So fitting into the marketplace, it's easy. It's a dance film that gets all generations up and moving.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but TikTok is primarily dance movies and dance videos. So, if we're gonna make a dance movie, we're gonna have to do a bunch of TikToks while we're on set. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm ready.
I hadn't even considered the idea of the TikTok promotion, but you are 100 or even 1,000, 1,000,000% correct about TikTok being as my dentist did a dance video on TikTok a week ago, and I was like, "You're my dentist. What are you doing?" And she's like, "It brings in new patients." So good for
That's
them.
right.
Yes. And
You
so
want to sell a movie? Get on TikTok. You want to sell a really good movie? Do a dance movie on TikTok.
very, very well said. So I know it's been a great week. If you have a pitch, we'd love to hear it.
We want people who are not just excited about the film, but understand the franchise potential. We have a sequel and a trilogy in mind for this. And our writer, Allison, has already begun writing them. And we understand that investing in anything is a risk, but it's mitigated because we have an incredible team with decades of experience willing to move forward responsibly with any investors who come on board. This film will not be greenlit fully, and we will not actually start filming until financially we know we can get into post-production and release. We also are not fully relying on equity. We're kind of doing things a little bit differently. We have our incredible tax incentive of 54% from the Canary Islands. We're utilizing New Jersey post-tax credit. And we're also going to the team who brought the F1 brand sponsorships to life. And we're having conversations with them to bring brands into a story that so naturally needs it because it's a sport. And we all see tons of brands on every arena we ever watch. So that's kind of the balance. And it's a much less risk for our investors. So we welcome anyone who wants to have a conversation with us.
We've also got some really great ideas for some very choice cameos in this movie. There's a lot of judges, okay? And if you have ever watched Dancing with the Stars, these judges have a lot of personality. So I've already got some people in mind that I think could really bring some really fun Easter egg. Oh my God, was that so and so? So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Just as a reminder, this is definitely not investment advice. This is not financial advice. Just putting that out there as a disclaimer, if you will. We're talking with Christine Lakin and Alexandra Engelson. The movie is I Won't Dance. As we're wrapping up, if somebody wants to follow along, they want to learn more about the movie, about the journey, about your journey as a director, your journey as a producer, whether it's a website, social media, what are the best ways to follow along with this project?
Well, you can follow me on Instagram at Christine Lakin Director, and you can follow along with the project.
At Magic and Moxie Productions on Instagram. We post all of the updates.
I mean, I'm just so excited. I'm so excited to bring this film to life. I've been, thinking about this for quite a while now. And as I said, I think there's just a great message in this film. It's not only the movement and the therapy of movement and the joy that this will bring to people, but there's also a real undercurrent, that well-behaved women rarely make history. And I believe that our lead actress will embody that in the role of Elena. This is someone who has to kind of bend the rules, and she's got to make them for herself. And as someone who has done that for most of my career, who's had to try to use a machete to forge her way through whatever that forest is, I can relate.
One last time, we're here with Christine Lakin and Alexandra Engelson, making headlines this week at the American Film Market 2025. Christine, Alexandra, thank you so incredibly much for your time. Huge congratulations for making waves this week. We're all excited to see what happens next, so please keep in touch with us.